Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, February 24th. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Gina Barty. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, the frigid temperatures are keeping WSSC crews extremely busy with water main breaks. So busy, the water agency had to call out outside contractors for assistance. Crews worked on 71 breaks yesterday. Today, they're working on about 50. Meantime, the courthouse in Upper Marlboro is closed to the public for the 4th consecutive day. The reason? Water pipes that burst due to bitter winter temperatures. Many residents were disappointed to find an empty courthouse this afternoon. Some even had important papers that had to be filed today to avoid legal consequences.
It's an inconvenience because I'm an Uber driver, and I bring a lot of my clients out this way and everything, and I brought a client out here today, and it was real urgent that he had to be here, and to drive all the way out here and have to charge him X amount of dollars to bring him here, is a very inconvenience.
We're operating as much as normal as possible under the circumstances. We have offices in the Marbury wing, which are obviously closed, but the Duval wing is open, so we're operating out of our offices there. We have some attorneys who wouldn't normally be in those offices who are working in those offices remotely. We also have offices over in the court annex building, so we have attorneys who are over there as well, working with the attorneys who are normally in that space. Our charging unit over at the jail is open and has been operational the entire time.
Temperatures are expected to reach the upper 30s tomorrow.
The Prince George's County Council was briefed today on policies and enforcement related to adult entertainment. The hearing was in response to recent media reports about illicit activity, including prostitution at 2 area establishments that are using a loophole to operate under different identities under the law. Several years ago, the council passed a measure mandating that new adult entertainment venues get a permit. The law didn't require existing businesses to get one. Opponents say Irving's in Capitol Heights and Club Fuego in Hyattsville were already up and running when the law was enacted, but say they're using a loophole to skirt the law.
I think we need more education of police and the public. In order to stem demand, we need individuals to know that they will be caught and prosecuted. We also need a uniform reporting system, which we're working with the State Human Trafficking Task Force as well to kind of develop a way to make sure that police and other service organizations, when they come in contact with this issue, that we're correctly identifying the information and we can put it in some kind of database.
And the chair, Mel Franklin, issued a statement saying the council will continue to work on legislation aimed at cracking down on illegal activities at adult entertainment centers.
Meantime, Governor Larry Hogan says while he was campaigning, there was issues that kept coming up over and over again. It was heroin. Today, he announces several initiatives in hopes of solving this epidemic. CTV's Sonia Shrivastava is in Annapolis with more.
Well, Governor Larry Hogan acknowledges that heroin is not something that everyone is comfortable talking about, but it is something that really needs to come to light here in the state of Maryland. Consider this, deaths from heroin are now outpacing the murder rate here in the state, and he says something needs to be done about it. And today, he is introducing 4 initiatives, including 2 executive orders.
Almost universally, everywhere we went, when we asked the question, what's the #1 problem facing your community, they said heroin.
Consider this, overdose deaths from heroin have increased from 247 in 2011 to 464 in 2013 and 428 as of September of 2014.
The heroin crisis is overwhelming our law enforcement, corrections facilities, and court systems' abilities to combat drug-related crime.
Today, the governor signed 2 executive orders establishing a task force and an interagency council to deal with the issue described by many as an epidemic.
We're announcing a major donation of a drug used to combat heroin use. Today, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene will receive a donation of several thousand units of Evzio. Evzio is similar to an EpiPen and is the only naloxone auto-injector approved by the FDA for use by non-first responders.
Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford would lead the task force, which is made up of officials from public safety, health, education, and more.
a large number of the people who are overdosing are coming out of the correctional system. They may be there for some period of time where they've started to detox, they've started to reduce their resistance to the drug. And they come out and they try to take the drug that they had taken.
Daniel Brennan, a former drug user himself, now runs a prevention and intervention program in Baltimore and says there is hope.
Recovery is a process. He beat the disease of addiction. My dad died 15 years, 4 months, 19 days sober. Today, following his steps still, I'm living proof that addicts do get clean. We do recover. Thank you.
Now, Rutherford says that they realize that this problem will not be solved overnight, but they are certainly eager to get started. In Annapolis, I'm Sonia Shrivastava for CTV News.
In 2011, Cecil County had the highest death rate from heroin in Maryland.
More than 1 million Marylanders have no retirement savings. That's according to a new state task force report. Now several lawmakers are proposing bills to provide new retirement options for private sector employees. Former Lieutenant Governor Kathleen Kennedy Townsend chairs the governor's task force to ensure retirement security for all Marylanders. She joined lawmakers to discuss the pending legislation.
There's a very simple answer to this problem. It's called a payroll deduction. You almost don't have to think about it. You just take the money off of your payroll, put it into a pot, and it grows.
So what we're trying to do is create a system that's really the default option so that everybody is putting something away for their own retirement, but we're doing it in a way that doesn't raise taxes, doesn't impose onerous fees on employers.
When we get older and the jobs that we work, will we be able to retire and still live a comfortable life? A lot of us don't often have those options to retire because we're doing the work that we're passionate about. And it's just so happens today now I can advocate for something that also directly affects me.
Meantime, in related news, retirement savers could soon get a boost from the U.S. Supreme Court. The nation's highest court heard arguments in a case today regarding investment fees paid by 401k participants. It will consider whether employers are responsible for monitoring their plans' fund offerings beyond the 6-year statute of limitations. Well, one federal lawmaker says President Obama is on point with his call to fight militant Islamic extremists. Senator Ben Cardin tells CTV News that Obama made the right decision when he asked Congress to formally authorize the use of military force in the war against ISIS.
The United States needed to be part of an international effort that goes after ISIS. As the president says, he wants to degrade and destroy. And I think there's strong support among Americans and among members of Congress that we need to be engaged. Now, they don't need our ground troops. What they do need is our leadership, and we have to make sure that we cut off their areas of ISIS areas of support, and that's what I think the president's program is all about.
Now, the proposal does give the military flexibility to potentially deploy special forces to the region.
No federal charges in the Trayvon Martin case. The U.S. Justice Department announced today that it would not file charges against George Zimmerman in the 2012 fatal shooting. 3 years ago this month, Zimmerman fatally shot Trayvon Martin during a confrontation as the teen was walking home from a convenience store. Attorney General Eric Holder calls the incident a tragedy, but says there was insufficient evidence to pursue federal charges. In 2013, a Florida jury found Zimmerman not guilty of second-degree murder and manslaughter charges. Well, you're watching CTV News. I'm Gina Barty.
And I'm Patricia Malone.